I told you last week that I'd be finishing up the series on labels because we've talked about it for the past 4 weeks. But as things go on, I'm just going to say I lied and I added another sermon here. Something always seems to change my mind. I just add that extra sermon. So here we go again. We're still working with labels. Sometimes labels are important. Imagine going to the grocery store and you walk through the grocery store to get a can of beans, green beans. I would probably go for baked beans, but you can go for green beans. I'll go for baked. All righty? Bush is preferred, and they're not paying me for that endorsement. But when you get there, all the cans are without labels. I don't know, parents, have you ever had a child who went through the pantry and they decided to take off all the labels and then you didn't know what's going on? Judy's shaking her head. I think that might have happened. Probably it was David. We'll call it that. Labels can give us some good information, like what's in something, what's going on. Labels give that important information. They supply you with nutritional information, ingredients, the calories, the carbs, the fats, all those things that we're supposed to be paying attention to. And those are good labels and helpful. But most of the time, labels tend to be negative. Okay? All right, with that. They find a label, you go through McDonald's and you get a cup of coffee. What's it say on there? Caution, hot. Because you would complain if it wasn't hot, right? But yet we've got to give you that label to let you know that's what's going on. Each of us here are sitting here and we have been given labels. The problem with that, labels, we all have them. They can last a lifetime and sometimes beyond. And to prove the point, I have a little trial here, a contest, if you will, to see if you can name or finish this. I'll begin with a name, and I want you to finish it, if you would. Attila the Hun. Right. Conan the Barbarian. Billy the Winnie the I skipped Buffy. Buffy the Vampire Slayer. I wasn't sure you guys would get that one, but I double checked. Popeye the Sailor Man. And how about Rahab? Rahab the prostitute. Right, from the scriptures, exactly. In the Bible, we talked about doubting Thomas. We talked about the sons of thunder. Saul was known as the destroyer of the church. That was his label. And then when he went and on the road to Damascus and had his change, he became Paul, the builder of the church. We all have some type of label, don't we? Growing up, I'll be honest with you, I was labeled as, and I remember him saying this, I was an angry and incorrigible child. That's because they didn't understand the four letters, ADHD, back in 1963 and following. Didn't understand those things with that. I was bouncing all over the walls. I was angry, they said. And when I got to school, I was labeled as a slow learner. I think it was the Bluebird group. I don't remember what it was exactly, but I was a slow learner and even told that I would never learn to read by my second grade teacher. I was labeled as maybe the not so bright child. So I'd like to have shown that teacher my 3.895 magna cum laude certificate from college, my diploma. One year I was actually cut from the baseball team and put on a team of rejects. Those of us who couldn't make the cut for the rest of the league, so they made a team just for us. And they labeled us the Mudhens. Toledo Mudhens. The Mudhens, that's what we were. I loved that so much because you know what? We were almost undefeated the whole season. All of us rejects, if you will. So we all have those labels, if you will. We have them even today. I want you to think about this. What is your label? How have people labeled you, and what type of labels have you yourself even began to think about? You see, we all have that label. And while you're thinking about it, don't panic, there's 32 of my 35 pages here, if you will. A Wemmick tale.
You Are Special by Max Lucado and illustrations by Sergio Martinez. Wemmicks were small wooden people. All of the wooden people were carved by a woodworker named Eli. His workshop sat on a hill overlooking their village. Each Wemmick was different. Some had big noses, others had large eyes, some were tall and others were short. Some wore hats, others wore coats. But all were made by the same carver and all lived in the village. And all day, every day, the Wemmicks did the same thing. They gave each other stickers. Each Wemmick had a box of golden star stickers and a box of gray dot stickers. Up and down the streets, all over the city, people spent their days sticking stars or dots on one another. The pretty ones, those with smooth wood and fine paint, always got stars. But if the wood was rough or the paint chipped, the Wemmicks gave dots. The talented ones got stars too. Some could lift big sticks high above their heads or jump over tall boxes. Still others knew big words or could sing pretty songs. Everyone gave them stars. Some Wemmicks had stars all over them. Every time they got a star, it made them feel so good. It made them want to do something else and get another star. Others, though, could do little. They got dots. Punchinello was one of these. He tried to jump high like the others, but he always fell. And when he fell, the others would gather around and give him dots. Sometimes when he fell, his wood got scratched, so the people would give him more dots. Then when he would try to explain why he fell, he would say something silly, and the Wemmicks would give him more dots. After a while, he had so many dots that he didn't want to go outside. He was afraid he would do something dumb, such as forget his hat or step in the water, and then people would give him another dot. In fact, he had so many gray dots that some people would come up and give him one for no reason at all. He deserves lots of dots, the wooden people would agree with one another. He's not a good wooden person. After a while, Punchinello believed them. I'm not a good Wemmick, he would say. The few times he went outside, he hung around other Wemmicks who had a lot of dots. He felt better around them. One day he met a Wemmick who was unlike any he'd ever met. She had no dots or stars. She was just wooden. Her name was Lucia. It wasn't that people didn't try to give her stickers, it's just that the stickers didn't stick. Some of the Wemmicks admired Lucia for having no dots, so they would run up and give her a star, but it would fall off. Others would look down on her for having no stars, so they would give her a dot, but it wouldn't stay either. That's the way I want to be, thought Punchinello. I don't want anyone's marks. So he asked the stickerless Wemmick how she did it. It's easy, Lucia replied. Every day I go see Eli. Eli? Yes, Eli, the woodcarver. I sit in the workshop with him. Why? Why don't you find out for yourself? Go up the hill, he's there. And with that, the Wemmick who had no stickers turned and skipped away. But will he want to see me? Punchinello cried out. Lucia didn't hear, so Punchinello went home. He sat near a window and watched the wooden people as they scurried around giving each other stars and dots. It's not right, he muttered to himself, and he decided to go see Eli. He walked up the narrow path to the top of the hill and stepped into the big shop. His wooden eyes widened at the size of everything. The stool was as tall as he was. He had to stretch on his tippy toes to see the top of the workbench. A hammer was as long as his arm. Punchinello swallowed hard. "I'm not staying here," and he turned to leave. Then he heard his name. "Punchinello?" The voice was deep and strong. Punchinello stopped. "Punchinello! How good to see you! Come, let me have a look at you." Punchinello turned slowly and looked at the large, bearded craftsman. "You know my name?" the little Wemmick asked. "Of course I do. I made you." Eli stooped down and picked him up and set him on the bench. The maker spoke thoughtfully as he looked at the gray dots. "Looks like you've been given some bad marks." "I didn't mean to, Eli. I really tried hard." "Oh, you don't have to defend yourself to me, child. I don't care what the other Wemmicks think." "You don't?" "No, and you shouldn't either. Who are they to give stars or dots? They're Wemmicks just like you. What they think doesn't matter, Punchinello. All that matters is what I think, and I think you are pretty special." Punchinello laughed. "Me? Special? Why? I can't walk fast. I can't jump. My paint is peeling. Why do I matter to you?" Eli looked at Punchinello, put his hands on those small wooden shoulders, and spoke very slowly. "Because you're mine. That's why you matter to me." Punchinello had never had anyone look at him like this, much less his maker. He didn't know what to say. "Every day I've been hoping you'd come," Eli explained. "I came because I met someone who had no marks," said Punchinello. "I know. She told me about you." "Why don't the stickers stay on her?" The maker spoke softly. "Because she has decided that what I think is more important than what they think. The stickers only stick if you let them." "What?" "The stickers only stick if they matter to you. The more you trust my love, the less you care about their stickers." "I'm not sure I understand." Eli smiled. "You will, but it will take time. You've got a lot of marks. For now, just come to see me every day, and let me remind you how much I care." Eli lifted Punchinello off the bench and set him on the ground. "Remember," Eli said as the woman walked out the door, "you are special because I made you, and I don't make mistakes." Punchinello didn't stop, but in his heart he thought, "I think he really means." And when he did, a dot fell to the ground. You are precious in his sight.
Maybe you have read this book a time or two. I know we did with our kids. You Are Special by Max Lucado. It's a great children's story to make a point. So I guess let's just stand and have our closing.